The story begins in the most classic way possible: a bright light, a strange room, and a young man realizing he's not on Earth anymore. His name is Banaza. Ordinary, polite, the kind of person who blends into the crowd, until fate decides to throw him into another world. He's one of several people summoned by a grand kingdom searching for heroes to defeat the demon lord. The hall is full of nobles and knights, whispering with excitement. Each hero candidate is tested for their magical potential, their numbers flashing above glowing crystals: strength, agility, mana. Some results are impressive enough to draw applause. Then comes Banaza's turn. His results? Abysmal. The crystal barely glows. The knights exchange looks. Even the court magician coughs awkwardly, trying to find a polite way to say it. Banaza's stats are average. Too average for a hero. The king's tone changes instantly, from welcoming to dismissive. "Thank you for your service," he says, with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. By the end of the day, Banaza is cast out of the castle with a few coins and no title. No power. No purpose. So, he does what most people would do when the world calls them useless. He walks away. Far from the capital, he finds a quiet forest, a small clearing, and decides to live there. He makes a fire, sets up a tent, and starts learning how to survive. The world is peaceful in its own way. The sound of leaves, the warmth of the sun, the slow rhythm of a life no one else controls. Maybe being weak isn't so bad after all. But everything changes one night. While fending off a weak monster, barely more than a nuisance, something strange happens. A flash of light. A sound. He levels up. From level 1 to level 2. That's it. Just one step. But suddenly, his stats explode. Strength, agility, magic, every number skyrockets beyond reason. His body feels weightless, his senses sharp. He tries to cast a spell, and it works effortlessly. The ground shakes with power he didn't even mean to unleash. Banaza stares at his glowing hands, eyes wide. "This can't be right," he murmurs. And yet it is. The man who was thrown away by a kingdom has just become something far greater than any of their chosen heroes. A single level turned him from powerless to unstoppable. He looks up at the night sky, half in disbelief, half in awe. The stars seem brighter. The world feels bigger. And for the first time, Banaza smiles, not because he's strong, but because for once, his life belongs entirely to him. But somewhere, deep within that same kingdom that cast him out, a ripple of energy is detected. And the people who decided he was worthless? They've just realized their mistake. Morning comes quietly in the forest. The sunlight filters through the trees, warm and gentle, as Banaza wakes up to the sound of birds and the soft rustle of leaves. It's hard to believe that just a few days ago, he was thrown out of a royal palace. Now his life has slowed into something simple, peaceful even. After the chaos of being summoned as a hero candidate and discarded as useless, he's found a strange kind of freedom here. He spends his mornings cooking over a small fire, fishing in the nearby stream, and gathering herbs to sell in nearby villages. Life at level 2 isn't supposed to feel like this, except for one small detail. He's not really level 2 anymore. Since that night, when he leveled up and his stats exploded, Banaza's body feels completely different. His strength, his senses, even the air around him, everything responds to his will. Magic obeys him without effort, and yet, he hides it. He doesn't want attention. He doesn't want to be the hero the kingdom rejected. He just wants to live quietly. But peace never lasts long. While exploring the forest for herbs, Banaza hears a strange cry, faint, weak, and definitely not human. He follows the sound and finds something unexpected: a young demon girl, unconscious, tangled in vines. Her small horns glint under the sunlight, and her clothes are torn as if she's been running for days. Without thinking, Banaza helps her, carefully removing the vines and giving her water. When she wakes up, her crimson eyes widen in fear. She expects to be attacked. Humans and demons aren't exactly on friendly terms here. But Banaza just smiles, awkward and kind. "You're safe," he says. "I won't hurt you." The girl hesitates, watching him, confused. He's human, but his aura feels different, stronger, gentler somehow. Her name is Flohea, and she's on the run from soldiers of the very same kingdom that banished Banaza. When she realizes who he is, she almost laughs, a human cast away by his own kind, and a demon hunted by hers. Somehow, they understand each other instantly. He offers her food, she accepts, and together they sit under the trees, sharing silence more comforting than words. But that quiet moment doesn't last. As they talk, Banaza feels something shift in the air, the faint hum of danger. The ground trembles, and he hears shouting in the distance. Knights. Human soldiers. The same crest that once stood behind the throne glints on their armor. They're searching for something, or someone. Flohea tenses, fear flashing in her eyes, and Banaza understands immediately. Without hesitation, he stands, his expression calm but resolute. The glove on his hand glows faintly as he steps between her and the approaching sound. For the first time since gaining his new power, Banaza's about to use it, not for revenge, not for glory, but simply to protect. The wind picks up, carrying the scent of steel and magic through the trees. Flohea whispers his name, uncertain. Banaza looks back at her and smiles. Stay behind me. And as the soldiers break through the trees, Banaza raises his hand, and the quiet forest begins to glow. The air crackles with tension as Banaza stands in front of the approaching soldiers. Their armor gleams beneath the forest light, polished and proud, symbols of the same kingdom that cast him aside. Flohea hides behind him, trembling, her small frame barely visible beneath her cloak. To them, she's just another demon. To Banaza, she's a child who needs protection. The soldiers shout, raising their blades. Step aside, traveler. That creature is wanted by royal decree. Banaza doesn't move. He doesn't even speak. The quiet defiance in his eyes says enough. When they charge, it's over in seconds. A single gesture from him, and the forest explodes with light. No sound, no pain, just the soft rush of wind as every weapon disintegrates into dust. The soldiers collapse to their knees, stunned. Banaza lowers his hand, his expression calm but unreadable. Go back, he says softly. There's nothing for you here. And somehow, the tone of his voice kind, almost gentle, frightens them more than any spell could. They retreat, stumbling through the trees, their orders forgotten. The forest falls silent again. Flohea stares at him, wide-eyed, caught between fear and awe. You're not human, are you? She whispers. Banaza pauses. I don't know what I am anymore, he admits. That night, they camp beside a river. The fire crackles softly, its glow dancing on their faces. Banaza cooks with practiced ease, sharing a bowl of stew that smells faintly of herbs and smoke. Flohea eats quietly, still glancing at him like he's some kind of mystery she can't solve. For the first time in a long while, Banaza feels at peace. Maybe this strange little partnership, a human outcast and a runaway demon, isn't such a bad thing. As the night deepens, he looks at his reflection in the water. The faint shimmer of magic still lingers in his eyes. He thinks about the power inside him, how easily he could have killed those men, and it unsettles him. Power without purpose, he realizes, is dangerous. Flohea notices his silence and tilts her head. You could have destroyed them, she says softly. Why didn't you? Banaza smiles faintly. Because I'm tired of destroying things. She nods, and for a moment, the forest feels like a safe haven. But that peace doesn't last long. The next morning, the ground trembles. A distant roar rolls through the forest, deep, ancient, and furious. Birds scatter from the treetops. The air turns sharp, filled with the scent of burning earth. Flohea stiffens. That sound, it's a dragon. Banaza looks up, eyes narrowing toward the horizon where dark smoke rises. A massive shadow moves between the clouds, wings spreading wide enough to block out the sun. The world itself seems to shudder under its cry. Banaza stands, cloak fluttering in the sudden gust. His hand glows faintly as he looks toward the creature in the distance. Looks like the world's not done testing us yet, he murmurs. And as the dragon descends, its roar shaking the sky, Banaza takes a slow breath and steps forward, calm, steady, ready. The roar tears through the sky like thunder, splitting the world in two. Trees sway, leaves scatter, and Banaza can feel the vibration in his bones as the dragon descends. Its scales shimmer like molten gold, its wings casting shadows that stretch across the forest. Beside him, Flohea clutches her cloak, eyes wide. This isn't just any beast, this is a high-ranking dragon, a creature said to rival gods. And it's heading straight for them. Banaza watches as it lands, the ground shaking beneath its weight. He can feel its presence pressing down on him, ancient, powerful, and full of fury. "You trespass in my domain," the dragon growls, its voice deep enough to rattle the air. Flohea hides behind Banaza, trembling. He can sense her fear, but his own expression stays calm, almost thoughtful. "We didn't mean to intrude," he says softly. "We were only passing through." The dragon lowers its massive head, nostrils flaring. "A human, protecting a demon child," it hisses. "How curious." The words carry both amusement and contempt. It's clear that whatever peace existed in this forest has just shattered. Banaza sighs quietly, rubbing the back of his neck. "I was hoping for one quiet day." Then, in a blink, the dragon strikes, a flash of motion too fast for the eye to follow. But Banaza doesn't flinch. A pulse of light bursts from his hand, forming a barrier so strong that the dragon's claws spark against it like steel on stone. The air fills with heat, the sound of energy crackling between them. Flohea watches, stunned, as Banaza steps forward through the smoke. His voice is calm, even kind. "I don't want to fight," he says. "But if you force me to," the ground splits beneath his feet as his power flares. For the first time, the dragon hesitates. It can feel it, that impossible strength, the kind that shouldn't belong to a human. The kind that bends the very laws of the world. Silence stretches. Then, slowly, the dragon withdraws its claws. Its voice, when it speaks again, is lower, almost respectful. "You carry a strange power, human. One that should not exist." Banaza doesn't deny it. "I didn't ask for it either." A long pause follows. The dragon's eyes narrow, studying him with ancient curiosity. Finally, it speaks again. "Very well. I will not fight you. But know this, power like yours never goes unnoticed. Sooner or later, the gods will take interest." With a heavy flap of its wings, the dragon lifts off, the wind swirling as it disappears into the clouds. The forest falls quiet again. Flohea exhales, her small voice breaking the silence. "You just scared off a dragon." Banaza smiles faintly, his expression weary but amused. "Guess I did." He sits on a nearby rock, the adrenaline fading, and for a moment, it almost feels peaceful again. But as the wind shifts, he feels something, a faint pulse of energy in the distance. Different from the dragon. Older. Watching. He looks toward the horizon, his eyes narrowing. Somewhere beyond the forest, something or someone has sensed what just happened. Banaza stands, brushing the dust from his cloak. "Looks like the quiet life will have to wait a little longer," he mutters, his voice soft but steady. And as he and Flohea walk deeper into the forest, the light fades behind them, and the world seems to hold its breath, waiting for what comes next. The forest feels lighter after the dragon's departure, as if the air itself can finally breathe again. Banaza and Flohea walk beneath the quiet canopy, the ground soft beneath their boots. The tension from the battle fades, replaced by something gentler, the steady rhythm of footsteps, birdsong, and the rustle of wind in the leaves. For a moment, it almost feels like peace. Banaza has no destination in mind. He just wants a place where they can rest, somewhere no one knows their names. But the world, as usual, has other plans. By evening, they reach a small village tucked between hills. Smoke rises from chimneys, and the smell of bread drifts through the air. It's simple, unremarkable, and that's exactly what makes it perfect. Banaza rents a room from an old innkeeper, a kind woman with too many cats and too few questions. Flohea hides her horns beneath a hood, sitting close to him, curious about everything: the warmth of the fireplace, the laughter of travelers, the way the innkeeper hums softly while serving stew. For her, this is all new. For Banaza, it's something he hasn't felt in a long time: belonging. Over the next few days, they blend in. Banaza helps repair fences, trades herbs for supplies, even cooks for the villagers, who quickly take a liking to him. They call him Mr. Banza, the wandering merchant with an easy smile. Flahea, meanwhile, starts to laugh more quietly at first, then freely. She even befriends a local child who shows her how to chase butterflies through the fields. It's a calm, ordinary life, exactly what Banaza always wanted. But beneath that peace, rumors start to spread. Travelers passing through whisper about strange sightings, royal knights moving through nearby towns, searching for a man who wields forbidden magic. Banaza hears it while buying bread one morning. The shopkeeper says it casually, not realizing how those words tighten something deep in his chest. That night, as Flahea sleeps, Banaza sits by the window, looking out at the moonlit hills. His reflection in the glass looks almost human, almost. The faint glow in his eyes reminds him otherwise. He wonders how long they can keep this fragile peace before the world comes knocking again. The answer comes sooner than he expects. The next morning, a group of armored figures enters the village. Their insignia gleams with the royal crest. The air grows tense. Villagers step back, murmuring quietly. One of the knights speaks, loud enough for everyone to hear. "We're searching for a man traveling with a demon. He's to be taken alive." Banaza's hand tightens around the edge of the table. Flahea looks up at him, eyes wide, fear rising fast. He forces a calm smile. "Pack your things," he says quietly. "We're leaving." But before they can slip out the back door, a shadow moves across the window, fast, deliberate, waiting. Banaza senses it before he sees it. A presence. Strong. Familiar. The air itself hums with power. Outside, a figure steps forward from behind the knights, tall, cloaked, and radiating a magic that feels both divine and cold. Banaza's breath catches as recognition dawns. It's not a stranger. It's one of the other heroes. One who didn't get thrown away. "It's been a while," the man says with a smirk. "Didn't expect to find you playing farmer." Banaza exhales slowly, the calm slipping from his eyes. The room grows quiet, heavy with tension and the memory of everything he left behind. Peace, it seems, was always just an illusion. The silence between Banaza and the man standing before him feels colder than steel. The villagers, unaware of the danger, keep their distance, sensing something heavy in the air but not daring to move. Flahea grips Banaza's sleeve, her small hand trembling. The man facing them, one of the summoned heroes Banaza once stood beside, looks nothing like the friend he remembered. His armor gleams, his smile sharp, and behind his calm voice, there's pride and fear. "You've been busy," he says. "A human living with a demon? That's treason where I come from." Banaza doesn't respond. He just studies the man's face, realizing how much distance time and power has placed between them. They were equals once, summoned together to fight for a kingdom that promised glory. But now, they stand on opposite sides of everything. The knight steps forward. "You don't have to fight. Come back quietly. The king wants to understand, whatever you've become." Banaza sighs softly, glancing down. "What I've become?" His eyes lift again, calm, steady, but carrying a weight the other man can't understand. "I became free." The knight's expression hardens. "Then you leave me no choice." He draws his sword, holy steel that hums with divine energy. The villagers scatter as the blade flares to life, its glow washing over the street. Flahea gasps, clutching Banaza's arm. But he just raises a hand, quietly motioning for her to stay back. The first strike comes fast. Too fast for human eyes to follow. But Banaza doesn't move. The sword stops inches from his neck, trembling, not because the knight hesitated, but because something unseen holds it there. The air ripples. The magic around Banaza hums softly, almost like a heartbeat. He looks at his former comrade and speaks quietly. "You think strength is what makes you chosen. But strength isn't the same as control." With a single step forward, the holy sword dissolves into golden dust. The knight stumbles back, eyes wide, his power stripped away as easily as breath. For a long moment, the only sound is the wind. "Go home," Banaza says gently. "Tell your king the world doesn't need his gods anymore." The man hesitates, then retreats, shame burning behind his eyes. The other soldiers follow, too afraid to look back. And when the last one is gone, Banaza exhales, not in triumph, but exhaustion. The village is quiet again, though it feels different now. The peace has cracks in it. Flahea looks up at him, voice small. They'll come again, won't they? Banaza nods. They always do. That night, the two leave the village under cover of darkness. The stars above are cold and distant, the kind that watch without caring. They travel through the hills, saying little. When they finally stop by a stream to rest, Banaza looks into the water, his reflection warping under the current. The glow in his eyes is stronger now. It frightens him a little. The more I use this power, he murmurs, the less human I feel. Flahea sits beside him, resting her head on her knees. Maybe being human isn't what matters, she says softly. Maybe it's what you do with it. Banaza smiles faintly, her words lingering in his mind. But before he can reply, the ground beneath them trembles faint, rhythmic, like footsteps far too heavy to belong to man or beast. Flogia's ears twitch. Something's coming, she whispers. Banaza rises slowly, eyes scanning the darkness ahead. The sound grows louder. The air grows colder. And from between the trees, a strange figure emerges, tall, wrapped in a cloak that hums with magic, its face hidden behind a silver mask. Banaza, the figure says, voice echoing unnaturally. The gods have taken interest in you. The masked figure stands before Banaza, silent except for the faint hum of power radiating from its cloak. The forest feels wrong, too still, too quiet, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Flahea stays behind him, gripping her staff tightly, her small frame tense with fear. The voice that comes from beneath the mask isn't human. It's layered, echoing, like a chorus speaking through a single mouth. You have upset the balance, it says. The gods gave humanity order, and you, an abandoned hero, have shattered it. Banaza tilts his head slightly, his tone calm, but edged with curiosity. Balance, he repeats. You mean the kind where one side gets crushed? The figure doesn't respond, but the air around it ripples with divine energy. It's clear that whatever stands before him isn't just a messenger. It's a warning made flesh. The figure raises its hand, and the trees around them bend backward as if pulled by invisible strings. Roots tear from the ground, earth shatters, and light flares, bright enough to blind. Banaza steps forward, unflinching. The power hits him like a storm, but it dissolves before touching him, the energy unraveling like threads against his skin. If you came to test me, he says quietly, you'll have to do better than that. The figure pauses, its voice trembling for the first time. You're not meant to exist. Power like yours was sealed away for a reason. Banaza's eyes glow faintly in the dark. Then maybe the world needs that reason broken. The silence that follows feels endless. The figure lowers its arm, studying him as if trying to see what lies beyond his form, not a human, not a god, something in between. Finally, it speaks again. If that's your answer, then we are no longer your enemies. But the ones who created me, the gods you now defy, will not forgive this. Before Banaza can reply, the figure dissolves into light, scattering into the air like dust. The forest exhales again, the world resuming its normal rhythm. Flahea steps closer, her eyes wide. What was that? She whispers. Banaza looks up at the night sky. A messenger, he says softly. Or maybe, a spy. They continue walking through the dark, following the river's curve. The moon hangs low, silver light flickering on the surface of the water. Despite what just happened, the night feels strangely peaceful. Flahea walks beside him, her voice quiet but thoughtful. If the gods really fear you, does that mean you're stronger than them? Banaza chuckles lightly. No, it just means I don't play by their rules. She smiles faintly at that, and for a while, they walk in silence. But peace, as always, doesn't last. In the distance, faint lights flicker, not torches, but something sharper, colder. A shimmer of magic moving across the horizon. Banaza stops, eyes narrowing. It's not divine. It's human. He can sense the pulse of spells being woven, coordinated, military, deliberate. They're setting a trap, he mutters. Flohea tenses, following his gaze. Who? Banaza's voice is low. The kingdom. They've joined hands with the gods. The wind shifts, carrying the distant echo of marching boots. Banaza closes his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of inevitability pressing down again. When he opens them, his calm is gone, replaced by something colder. Looks like we're out of time, he says softly. Let's move. The forest darkens around them as the first flare lights up the night sky, casting long shadows through the trees. The hunt has begun. The night burns with faint blue light as magic circles bloom across the valley. Dozens of them, glowing, pulsing, overlapping like constellations, forming a barrier meant to trap a god, or something close to one. Banaza and Flohea stand at the edge of the forest, watching in silence. The air smells like iron and ozone. They've sealed the exit, Flohea whispers. Her voice trembles slightly, but not from fear, from the weight of what's coming. Banaza studies the glow, calm and thoughtful. So they're serious this time, he says quietly. The kingdom, the priests, even the gods' followers. All working together. It's strange, he thinks, how quickly people unite when they find something to fear. A low hum fills the air as the barrier shifts, drawing tighter around them. Soldiers move in formation, their armor reflecting the glow of divine symbols etched into the ground. At the center of it all stands a tall figure in white robes, staff raised high. The High Bishop of the Holy Order, the same man who once blessed Banaza as a hero. His voice carries across the field like thunder. Banaza of another world. In the name of the gods, surrender the power you've stolen. Flohea clenches her fists, glaring. They call you a thief? Banaza smiles faintly. People fear what they can't control. The soldiers ready their weapons. The bishop's staff flares with divine light, and the sky itself seems to crack with pressure. It's overwhelming, enough power to erase a mountain. But Banaza just stands there, eyes soft, shoulders relaxed. You're making the same mistake, he murmurs. You think this world belongs to the gods. The attack comes all at once, light, heat, sound. The ground splits, the air screams, and for a moment, the entire valley disappears in brilliance. And then, silence. The smoke clears, revealing a single figure still standing. Banaza doesn't look angry. If anything, he looks sad. The magic around him moves gently, like ripples on calm water. The barrier meant to contain him now bends, reshaping itself as if bowing in submission. The soldiers stare, frozen. Their faith, their courage, their certainty, all crumble in that moment. Banaza's voice breaks the silence, low and steady. If the gods made this world, he says, they forgot what it was meant to feel like. With a sweep of his hand, the barrier dissolves into dust, scattering like petals on the wind. The High Bishop drops to his knees, trembling. His power, his prayers, nothing answers him. For the first time, he looks small. Flohea steps forward, her eyes full of quiet wonder. You didn't even fight, she whispers. Banaza smiles gently. Sometimes, winning means not destroying. But the peace that follows doesn't feel complete. Above them, the clouds twist unnaturally, glowing faintly from within. Flogia's expression changes. That light, it's not magic, is it? Banaza looks up. The glow is spreading fast, divine energy, pure and unrestrained, descending like a storm. His calm fades, replaced by something colder. No, he says softly. It's a summons. From beyond the clouds, a voice echoes, deep, layered, impossible to describe. Banaza of the mortal plane, it says, shaking the air itself. You've defied the order of heaven. The wind howls. The ground fractures. And as the sky splits open, a colossal hand of light reaches down, the will of the gods made real, descending to reclaim what they lost. The sky itself seems to split open as the divine light descends. It isn't fire, but it burns. It isn't thunder, but it shakes the world. Flohea shields her eyes, but Banaza doesn't move. He stands still beneath that blinding radiance, staring up at the colossal hand of light reaching down toward him. Its size dwarfs the forest, the mountains, even the sky. The voice that follows is calm, cold, and absolute. You were given a role, human. You abandoned it. Now, return what does not belong to you. The light pulses, wrapping around Banaza like chains. But he doesn't struggle. His eyes close, and for a brief moment, he listens. It's not the voice of a god he hears, it's the echo of every soul, every creature that ever lived under the rule of those same gods. The weight of their obedience. The silence of their despair. He breathes out slowly. If you wanted obedience, he says, his tone soft but unyielding, you shouldn't have created free will. The world trembles as he raises his hand. The divine chains shatter like glass. The light recoils. Flohea stares, unable to speak. Banaza's power flares again, quiet and blinding all at once, not violent, but endless, like the heartbeat of the world itself. You don't own this world, he says calmly. Not anymore. The hand surges forward, desperate now, grasping at him like a drowning god clutching at the mortal who slipped through its grasp. Banaza's magic rises to meet it, not in rage but in perfect balance. The two forces collide, divine and mortal, eternal and fleeting, and the sky explodes into color. Gold, white, violet, and silver spiral through the air, painting the heavens in a storm of energy. For a heartbeat, time stops. The divine hand fades, dissolving into motes of light that drift away like fireflies. The voice tries one last time, weaker now, trembling. You can't destroy the divine. Banaza's answer is quiet. I don't need to destroy it. I just need to live without it. The light disappears. The clouds close. And the world is still again. Flohea falls to her knees, overwhelmed. The scent of ozone lingers, mixed with earth and rain. Banaza turns to her, his expression unreadable. It's over, she whispers. For now, he replies. They start walking again, the forest recovering its voice, the rustle of leaves, the hum of insects, the distant cry of a hawk. But beneath that calm, Banaza can feel it, the change in the air, subtle but certain. The balance has shifted. The gods might have withdrawn, but their followers won't. He knows what comes next. Faith without control is dangerous, and desperate believers are the most dangerous of all. As the sun sets behind them, painting the sky in quiet gold, Flohea glances up at him. Where do we go now? She asks. Banaza looks toward the distant mountains, where faint lights flicker, a city he's never seen before. Somewhere they've forgotten what divinity looks like, he says softly. Maybe that's where life actually begins. But before they can take another step, the ground hums beneath them, faint but unmistakable. A pulse, rhythmic and deep. The kind that doesn't come from the earth, but from something waking beneath it. The air trembles beneath Banaza's feet, the rhythm from below growing stronger, a deep, steady pulse that feels alive. He exchanges a glance with Flohea, who grips her staff tightly. That's not natural, she whispers. The ground cracks, a thin line glowing faintly with blue light, winding through the dirt like veins of magic. Banaza steps back, eyes narrowing. Whatever is waking beneath them isn't just magic, it's old. Older than kingdoms, older than gods. The pulse grows into a heartbeat, and then, with a sound like thunder breaking stone, the ground splits open. A wave of energy surges upward, and from the light emerges a ruin. Ancient, covered in symbols that hum with faint gold. The air changes colder, thinner, heavy with the weight of memory. Banaza walks closer, his hand brushing one of the markings. It glows under his touch, alive once more after centuries of silence. This place, he murmurs. It's not human or divine. Flohea peers over his shoulder, her voice small. Then what is it? Banaza doesn't answer right away. Inside the ruin, the walls begin to shift, rearranging themselves into a path that descends deep underground. Without hesitation, he steps forward, the glow from his hand lighting the way. The deeper they go, the quieter the world becomes, no sound but their footsteps and the hum of unseen energy around them. Flohea keeps close, glancing at the carvings on the walls. They depict figures, neither gods nor humans, shaping the world from fragments of light. Creators, she whispers. The ones who came before. Banaza nods. The true architects of this world, long before the gods claimed it. The corridor opens into a vast chamber filled with floating crystals. Each one holds faint images, memories suspended in time. Banaza steps toward one and sees flashes inside, a world untouched, vibrant, full of harmony. No gods, no worship, no war. Just creation. Flogia's eyes widen. They built everything and then disappeared. Or, Banaza says quietly, they were erased. He reaches out and the image shifts, showing the moment the gods descended, reshaping the world, rewriting the truth. The light inside the crystal flickers, as if struggling to remember itself. A low sound echoes through the chamber. Not from the crystals, from something deeper. Something stirring. Banaza looks up just as the light shifts again, forming a shape in the center of the room, a figure made entirely of energy, faceless yet distinctly alive. Its voice is faint but clear. The last bearer of balance, it says. We've waited for you. Banaza freezes. You know who I am? The figure tilts its head. You are not what they wanted. You are what remains. The chamber brightens as the crystals rise, spinning in slow, graceful arcs. Each pulse sends a wave of warmth through the air, but beneath it lies something darker: grief, memory, loss. The figure steps closer, its light flickering. This world was meant to live in cycles, creation and rest. But the gods broke the pattern. They feared what they could not rule. Banaza listens, his expression calm but thoughtful. And now? The figure's light dims, its voice softening. Now the world begins to remember. The crystals shatter, and light floods the chamber. Flohea cries out, shielding her face as the glow envelopes them both. When the light fades, the chamber is gone, replaced by open sky. The ruins now silent once more. Banaza looks around, disoriented. The world feels different, sharper, clearer, heavier with magic. Flohea grabs his arm, eyes wide. What happened? Banaza looks up at the horizon. There, far in the distance, the clouds swirl above the royal capital, and from within, something colossal begins to rise. A shadow that stretches across the land. His voice is quiet, steady. The gods aren't hiding anymore. The shadow rising over the capital stretches like a living storm. Its form is neither god nor man, something vast, ancient, and undefined, shaped from the combined will of those who worshipped blindly. Banaza watches from the hilltop, his cloak fluttering in the wind. Flohea stands beside him, clutching her staff, her expression torn between fear and awe. The light of the city glows faintly below, golden and trembling, as if the world itself can't decide whether to bow or break. That thing, she whispers. It's made of faith. Banaza nods slowly. Faith without understanding, he says. The gods have turned belief into a weapon. The wind shifts, carrying the distant sound of bells, not church bells, but alarms. The city knows something is coming. Banaza takes a step forward, his boots pressing into the soft grass. For a moment, his expression softens. He remembers standing in that same city once, still human, still uncertain, waiting for orders that would shape his fate. Now he stands as the one they fear. They'll come for me, he murmurs. Not because I'm their enemy, but because I stopped believing. Flohea looks up at him, her voice barely a whisper. Then what will you do? Banaza smiles faintly. The same thing I've always done. Protect the ones who still believe in something real. As they approach the outskirts of the capital, the air grows heavier. The shadow above has begun to take shape, wings unfurling, eyes of light opening across the sky. Each one burns with divine fury, watching everything below. Soldiers flee, priests kneel, and the streets echo with confusion. In the chaos, a familiar voice cuts through, calm, steady, and impossible to mistake. Banaza. From the courtyard steps a woman in silver armor, her presence as sharp as her blade. One of the other summoned heroes, the last one he hadn't met since leaving the palace. Her name was Serena. In another life, she might have been his ally. Now she stands in his way. You broke the seal, she says. The god's vessel is awake because of you. Banaza looks at her calmly. It was already breaking, he replies. I just stopped pretending not to see it. Her expression hardens. Then you leave me no choice. She raises her sword, its edge glowing with divine light, the same power once gifted to him before the kingdom cast him out. The same power he now stands against. Around them, the streets go still. Even the storm above seems to pause, waiting. Banaza exhales softly, his tone gentle but firm. You don't have to fight me, Serena. And yet, she answers quietly, I do. She moves first. Her strike is fast, beautiful, precise, a flash of silver that cuts through air and shadow alike. Banaza catches it with his bare hand. The blade stops inches from his chest, frozen in mid-swing. Light crackles between them. For a moment, they just stare at each other, two people who once shared the same dream, now standing on opposite ends of a broken faith. You haven't changed, Banaza says softly. Still fighting for something that was never yours. She pulls her blade free, eyes burning. And you've changed too much. The ground trembles. Above them, the shadow stirs, feeding on the clash of their power. Banaza feels it, the weight of countless prayers twisting into something monstrous. He looks up at the sky, then back at her. If we keep fighting, he says, we'll give it exactly what it wants. But it's too late. The light in Serena's blade flares again, and the shadow roars, a sound that makes the world itself tremble. The gods are watching, and the war for the world has just begun. The clash between Banaza and Serena sends ripples through the capital, light and shadow tearing through the air like dueling storms. Every strike hums with divine energy, every impact shakes the ground beneath their feet. The people watching can't tell which side they should fear more, the woman blessed by the gods, or the man who stands against them without one. Banaza moves with quiet precision, blocking each attack without anger. Serena's strikes are flawless, her movements fueled by duty rather than hatred. Yet the more they fight, the clearer it becomes, her power burns fast, and his doesn't burn at all. You're holding back, she says, panting, blade trembling. Why? Banaza lowers his guard, his voice calm but heavy. Because I've already seen what happens when people forget why they started fighting. Serena's eyes flash, her anger sharp but not cruel. You think you're the only one who's lost something? She swings again, this time with desperation. Banaza catches her wrist, stopping her cold. Their eyes meet, one glowing with divine light, the other reflecting something older, quieter, unshakable. You haven't lost it yet, he says softly. The words hang in the air, and for a moment, the sound of battle fades. But the peace doesn't last. The shadow above the capital stirs, its massive form twisting, feeding on the very energy of their clash. The sky turns darker, thunder rolling through clouds that pulse with veins of gold. Both Banaza and Serena feel it, the shift in the air, the tremor beneath their feet. The god's vessel is waking. Serena steps back, her sword dimming. It's drawing power from us, she whispers. The more we fight, the stronger it gets. Banaza glances at the sky, his tone quiet. Then it's time to stop giving it what it wants. He raises his hand, and the world stills. The light of the storm falters, and for the first time, the shadow recoils, not in pain, but in confusion. Banaza closes his eyes, focusing his magic not into destruction, but into stillness. A calm radiates outward, pure and overwhelming, like the pause between heartbeats. The soldiers, the priests, even the terrified citizens feel it, that strange peace washing over everything. The divine energy in the air begins to dissolve, like fog under sunlight. Serena watches, stunned. What are you doing? Banaza opens his eyes, and for a moment, they shimmer with the same glow as the shadow above, only warmer. Reminding the world what silence feels like. The storm shatters. The sky clears. The shadow breaks apart, fragments of divine essence raining down like embers. And then, from within that falling light, something descends slow, graceful, and impossibly beautiful. A figure takes shape, pale as moonlight, eyes like molten gold. Its presence is neither cruel nor kind, only vast. The voice that follows is calm, and it cuts through every sound at once. So, this is the mortal who refuses heaven. Banaza looks up, the faintest smile on his lips. You could say that. The figure tilts its head, almost curious. Then show me why. The ground glows beneath Banaza's feet, the divine sigils returning brighter than before. Serena steps back, shielding her eyes from the light, as a new kind of energy fills the air, not from gods or men, but something between them. Banaza's cloak ripples in the wind. His voice is quiet, steady, and resolute. If the gods want proof, he says, then they'll have to meet me as equals. And as the light consumes the sky once more, the last thing visible is the calm outline of a man standing against eternity. And that's the end of the summary of this wonderful anime. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, as it helps and motivates me to keep creating more content for you. See you soon.